Greetings everyone, my name is Jonathan Bailey and I'm from the website Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com, and as you can see, I am back. Ye old garbage horror studio behind me, I am back in the United States, back in New Orleans, and returned from my week-plus long trip to the United Kingdom for conference and holiday combined. I've got to say, I am incredibly happy to be here. Looking forward to getting back to work. And speaking of that, if you emailed me over the past 7 days or so, give me a little time. Gmail has literally stopped counting what's in my inbox, so I'm kind of intimidated right now. But I know I've got a lot in there. A lot of people wrote me. I haven't been able to email them. I was on very limited internet access while I was in the United Kingdom. A long story with that hotel. So I know I've got a lot to go over, a lot to get through. So if I haven't emailed you by, say, like Tuesday, hit me up again. Make sure it didn't get lost in the shuffle. It's entirely possible. So give me some time. Let me get to you, and I will. But, you know, it was a great trip. Really enjoyed it. A great conference. And, you know, due to a combination of ticket prices and everything else, I was highly encouraged to spend a few extra days in the United Kingdom. I'm very glad I did. We got to see some great sights. Got to go to Durham Cathedral, Edinburgh Castle, and Tynemouth Castle right there near Newcastle. Great ruins there. Also got to visit Alnwick Castle, better known as Hogwarts to many Harry Potter fans, where they shot Harry Potter 1 and 2. Got a lot of photos of all this. If you follow me on my personal Facebook or follow me on Twitter, I'm going to be putting these galleries up probably sometime in the next few days. Check them out. I've got to wait. Crystal has got something like 20 gigs of photos to go through, photos and small videos to go through, so she's got to get through that. But when she does, I'm going to pick out the best so we don't overload anybody. We're going to start uploading them to various photo sharing services so you can access them. But like I said, back now, getting back into the swing of things. Long to-do list today, lots to do. So I don't really want to dwell too much here. I don't want to cover any copyright news because I'm not caught up at all. In fact, I've got to go through today and do show notes and get caught up in news because we're recording the podcast tomorrow. Got to do that. So I don't want to talk about copyright news here. Also, don't really want to talk anymore about the conference because I've got 2 articles prepared. I'm writing. One will be today. One will probably be tomorrow on the conference and related things. So stay tuned for that. Lots going on there. Busy time all around. So what I do want to talk about instead is the other thing I've gotten to do since I've been back in the States, and that is I upgraded my Mac to OSX Mountain Lion. And I wanted to give kind of like a first impressions thing on it. It's not a full review. That might come in a week if I have time. But a first impressions view of what I liked and what I didn't like about it, etc. And I've got to be honest, Mountain Lion overall has worked out pretty good. It seems, in general, to be a little bit snappier, a bit more reliable than Lion. Lion had some weird quirks and bugs in it. Things like I haven't lost track of my mouse cursor yet, at least. That may still happen, but it has not happened yet. So a lot of things seem to have gone pretty well. But take a quick look at some of the features of it. First off, for me, is notifications. Notifications are a little sidebar that now appears on the right-hand side of the screen, like in this area, that lets you see what all your apps have been doing while you've been gone, and also kind of alerts you to what's happening. For years now, Mac users have been very dependent on Growl, and that is, you know, the centralized notification center that was installable as software for the Mac. And Growl A was never perfect. It was never very good. It was never truly centralized, and app support for it was always kind of hit and miss. A lot of web browsers, for example, don't support Growl fully. But I think there was also a little bit of betrayal there, and this seems kind of odd, but the makers of Growl went from releasing their software as an open source, free download application to a fairly expensive one, actually, in the Mac App Store. And a lot of people, myself included, shelled out the money for it because we really liked it and really needed it. But there was always this confusion because, you know, they really had built something using open source, using the open source movement, really built something to become almost essential for Mac. Most Mac users find it very difficult to even contemplate setting up a new Mac without Growl. And here they were, suddenly whipping around and charging it and making it an expense. It was kind of a surprise for a lot of people, myself included. So I'm glad that I can finally be rid of Growl. Seems like support for Notification Center is already fairly strong. It's going to get even better. So keeping with that, I'm very happy about Notification Center. Seems to be working well. Haven't really used it that much, but what little bit I've seen works good. Dictation, this was one of those features I was really excited about going in, but after dabbling with it and playing with it, I'm not as excited anymore. While it works well enough, it seems very accurate even for my voice and my tendency to mumble. Um, it's not faster than my typing. I type very, very quickly, and I'm realizing that I actually type faster than I talk, so that means dictation is going to slow me down, especially when I have to go back and edit the few flubs that it puts in there. So dictation's cool, especially if you're a slow typist, but I don't think it's going to be something I make regular use of. Let's see, other interesting features for me. Gatekeeper, found out what that was and how that worked when I tried to uninstall Glimpse because it was causing problem with Safari, Safari 6. Interesting security feature, seems to work pretty well. It's set by default to only allow you to install software from either the Mac App Store or from signed developers. And I think that shouldn't upset too many developers, too many of the bigger developers. But a lot of open source developers, I think, are going to have some serious problems with this, as it's going to be blocking access to stuff like Glimpse, where it's developed without a profit motive, and they don't have a reason to get in the Mac App Store. They don't have a reason to sort of become a signed developer for Mac. So that's where it's going to hit the hardest there. So kind of mixed on how I feel about that in the end. Let's see, other features that I think are pretty cool and pretty important. Safari 6, actually, I do want to talk about this. Safari 6, I'll talk, like I said, more about it tomorrow in the usual browser day, but I've got to say, Chris Matthew from, he's at Chris Matthew on Twitter, tweeted and said that he felt the performance improvements in Safari 6 were amazing and incredible, and that I would be very happy, and I've got to say, he seems to mostly be right. They didn't make a lot of front-facing feature additions with Safari 6, and still no pin tabs. In fact, tab management in general still sucks in Safari, but the speed, the performance, the stability, the behind-the-scenes stuff, beautiful. And there are a few front-facing features. You have the rearranged tabs, the new Omnibox where you can search or type an URL, and also iCloud tabs are all in there. But yeah, those are pretty cool. But really, it's the performance and the speed. I've been using Safari as my primary browser since I did the setup, and I really am not that compelled to change yet, despite the issue with tab management. That's pretty amazing for a browser to survive that terrible of a tab management and still be a preferred browser for me. So that's pretty cool. Definitely worth checking out. Messages. If you, like me, downloaded the beta for Messages for Lion, you're going to be thrilled with OSX Mountain Lion's version of Messages. It is vastly improved. They fixed a lot of the tweaks and the problems that existed in the beta. One of them that I know sort of annoyed my good friend Patrick O'Keefe was that in the beta it was very difficult to tell if someone was online or off. They kind of obscure that information a little bit. Here it's right there in your face. You cannot miss it. You're going to see it. And it's little things like that. Also, the sign-on process. It's clear which accounts are logged on and which are not. They really made a lot of good improvements to Messages between the beta and the final. Highly recommend that. And also, there's other things like AirPlay mirroring, which unfortunately I can't help you with. I don't have an Apple TV. I don't really have any interest in getting one. But there's definitely a lot of other great features that exist in Mountain Lion. But those are the ones that I'm running into and using the most and what I think of them. All in all, Mountain Lion is definitely an improvement over OSX Lion. Much, much better. Well worth the $20. I can't recommend the purchase highly enough. But as far as is it better than Windows 8 or Windows like that, that's really a matter of personal preference to me. I'm not one of these cult of Mac guys that believes everything Mac does is better than everything Windows does. Believe me, I have Windows computers downstairs in this house right now that I love very dearly. So what I'm saying here is if you like OSX, if OSX is your choice of system, then Mountain Lion is clearly the best version of OSX. And apples to apples, OSX Mountain Lion wins. On that note, everyone, I'm out of time for this week. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you guys tomorrow with a closer look at Safari 6.